Oh boy, technical difficulties. Hey guys, I'm Zombie Unicorn. Welcome to episode 3 of Zero Notifications. This this episode is called Meat Fires and Aliens. I'm here with my co-host.
Hi, I'm Ian M. Mori, and I am here. Thankfully, there's a hurricane outside my window, and I'm weathering it as best I can. We're just getting outer bands. It's not so bad. Dorian's here. He's knocking on the door. It's fine.
Dorian's knocking on the door. Yeah, we're lucky. We are all lucky that Dorian decided to literally take a poop on the Bahamas. Well, not the Bahamas are not lucky, but
yeah.
But
we hope the best for them. Honestly, genuinely, it's a really rough time for that entire Caribbean area. But thankfully for the United States, it is heading off into the Atlantic, and we'll hopefully see it through. So, yeah.
But you're here, and now we can do the podcast.
And we're going to do
the podcast. I hope you guys are ready, because we have some new stuff to talk about this episode. That's going to be some good... let's just get right into it. You ready?
Yeah, news time.
We got some serious news, and there would normally be a serious news clip that would sound like this. There it is.
I don't have the button. The button's in front of you.
Yeah. No, but we have some serious news going on in the world that we like to talk about and get out of the way first. We have, a bunch of other segments, but first, get the serious stuff out of the way, and then we can do all the fun stuff. Yeah. So, something other than Dorian, some other natural type disaster situations we have going on in the world is the Amazon fires. There are literally fires burning in Brazil in the Amazon forest for like weeks now. And it's absolutely terrible. The Amazon is like the lungs of the earth. And there's so much crazy stuff going on in the news about it. Like the president is refusing to accept money. What is going on with that?
The politics are just so awful. Recently, we had the G7 summit, and the president of France had offered during the summit to the president of Brazil to an amount of money to help quell the fires that are going on in Brazil. And the president of Brazil said no. He just flat out said, no, we got it. Don't worry. We will take care of it. And even then, that's not a good call in any sort of scope. And a lot of other countries were crying out saying, no, you should probably take the money, take the assistance, take the help. But he's flat out saying no to it. He's just saying no to it.
It's just absolutely absurd. Like, what?
We need those forests so badly. And he's just letting it burn for one reason or another.
A lot of people are putting sole blame on him or, government in Brazil. But there is a lot of this that has to do with our own individual choices. The reason, for a lot of people who don't know, the reason the rainforest caught fire in the first place is because it was set on fire on purpose by cattle ranchers. What they do is they burn parts of the forest down deliberately to make room for more cattle, for grazing. They also make room to grow soy, and 80% of that soy goes to feeding those cattle. So it's kind of insane because we don't even what?
We don't even eat the soy.
We don't even eat the soy.
Directly into the feed. So
yeah, it becomes cattle feed. And one of the main ways that individuals, we can push the Brazilian government and the president as much as we can to accept the aid and the money to help stop this. But one of the things that, to me is very concerning is that people don't realize that their individual consumption of meat, especially of beef and dairy products, are directly related to this. Even though the United States does not import meat from Brazil, we import collagen, we import whey protein and gelatin and other various byproducts of this. They also import cattle feed. And some people are like, oh, but I only eat locally sourced stuff, Natalie. And it's like, you're still affecting supply and demand. So if you really want to make an impact and help, reduce the carbon footprint and help the situation individually, something that you can do personally is cut back on how much meat you're intaking. I'm not saying oh, stop eating meat. I don't eat any meat, but that's your choice. But if you want to just like cut back, it actually does have a huge impact, because the less that people are buying these products, you know, and needing more meat to be created, more cattle to be raised, the less demand there is, the less forests they're burning down in the Amazon, the less issue we have with these fires raging out of control. It's just kind of absolutely insane. And,
and another thing that you can do as well too is contribute to different nonprofit organizations that can help sustain the livelihood of rainforests out there. The Rainforest Alliance is one of the organizations.
Yeah, rainforest-alliance.org. And they focus on, you know, they focus on a lot of things. One thing is they tell people, you know, that they have like hands-on work that they do, but then they also help teach about sustainability and practices and things like that, because cattle ranching is really not actually very sustainable. There's like less than 3% of cattle ranching is sustainable in the world. And it's just, it's a detriment to our environment. I've seen a lot of people posting about, oh, save the rainforest, pray for the rain, you know, pray for the Amazonia. And it's like, aren't we over this whole thoughts and prayers thing? Don't we know that that doesn't really do anything? Like, it's a nice gesture, and it does mean a lot, you know, to somebody emotionally, but it doesn't actually do anything.
There are steps that we could take individually that can contribute to a greater whole, rather than just saying things and putting your pathos and your ethos on the internet. You could actually do something about it. So reduce intake, contribute as best you can through organizations that are organized for this sort of thing, and it'll help the betterment of our planet just in general.
Yeah, and we can definitely push, you know, on social media towards, you know, the Brazilian government to be like, hey, pay attention to this, take the money, do something about it. This affects all of us. But I just always like to point out the things that we can individually do, you know. Of
course. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Things that we can all do together, speaking of. And speaking of government, our next news story is actually about the United States. And I'm a little behind on the graphics. Sorry, guys. But our next story is actually about U.S. government and voting and students. So in America, in the last midterm, students, about 48.3% students turned out to vote in 2016. Mm-hmm. And according to the 2019 State of the Student Report by learning services company Chegg, 80% of college students said they intend to vote in the 2020 presidential election. It's much higher than, you know, the last turnout, but I feel like, to be honest, there's a reason for that. They didn't think that they needed to vote. But now I think it's very obvious that they do.
They definitely need to. A big topic that they're leaning heavily on is the student debt and how out of control it is right now. And me personally, from like my post-secondary institution life, like anything that has to do with post-secondary institution, I take issue with. Education is very important to me, and by all means, go to college if you have a full, clear intent of how you want to contribute to society, and understand that it does take an expense, that your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, your doctorate is going to cost something to you, because it's a big business of what these schools can contribute and offer, their technology, their services, everything that they have for themselves in order to I guess, grow your education. It's costly, and it's something where the jobs do not pertain to the actual amount of education that you have. And it sucks, because when we were growing up, we were told that college was going to be a benefit to us when we got out. But then the job outlook was so much lower than what we thought, and we're unable to pay these debts that are climbing now.
You're not using your degrees, right? Currently?
Nope. I have a bachelor's in creative writing, and I do not touch it. I
went to community college, and I never ended up transferring to finish my degree because of what I do now. I didn't need to. Mm-hmm. I do plan on going back, but I'm very grateful I didn't go immediately into university because I don't owe any money, which is fantastic. Definitely take advantage of that if you guys, are considering college at this day and age. Unfortunately, unless we get a president in office that's going to start doing something about student debt. About 79% of students, according to this report, 79% of students that responded said that the cost of education was the biggest issue that they had. That's a lot. That's a vast majority of young voters. That's their main issue, and that's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like,
and
to be unified on something like that. I really hope they do turn out to vote, because
I really do hope so too,
Yeah.
because like state funded schools are seeing like at least not as much of a push towards like private educating institutions, and it's been like this for like almost 40 years. So by all means, don't ever cut out the idea of going to a state funded college. Definitely consider that as a possibility, because it lowers the possibility of student debt. The government does help and sustain a lot of the facilities that you have on those campuses.
There's
So
grants
consider
out
those
there
as an
and all
option.
kinds of things. I actually received the Pell Grant when I was in college, because I went
Same,
back.
yeah.
But yeah, actually, and then this isn't even a partisan issue. The 40% of these students also said that they don't believe in the two-party system. They believe it doesn't work.
No.
Only 31% of the students said that they believe it works, and 29% were unsure. 43% identified as Democrats, 18% as Republicans, and 38% said the Democratic Party reflected their beliefs, while 17% said the same about GOP, and then 36% of them were independent. So there's still a huge chunk that's independent. I feel like, just that fact of a lot of them don't even believe that the two-party system works. Like, welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Right?
This bipartisan hackery, it needs to stop. It really does. Like, attacking each other for your beliefs, your general flat beliefs, when really it has to be based.
Stop voting for party. Start voting for what you
People.
believe in, for the things that you stand for, the things that you want.
That's exactly what you should be voting for every single time. So yeah,
I think that's what the youth, these students are going for, and it's really refreshing to see. And I hope it makes a big difference in our politics in the future.
And I'm hoping that one of our like nominees, either side, like at least acknowledges that a big part of their voters is the students, is the kids, is the younger crowd, and I hope they work towards the issues that matter the most to them. So
yeah,
I'm already well past that age though, so it's like now I'm getting close to more middle age than like anything. So
You're not middle age yet. We're still young.
I feel it.
We're still young.
We're
not that old. You can't say that, because then it makes me feel old. Okay.
What?
You're older than me by only like a year, right?
What? Oh, okay. No, like 3. But
okay.
still,
Well,
my bones feel 3 years older.
Anyway, so that's coming up, you guys. Start paying attention.
Voting.
Yeah, it's coming up. What, next year?
Next year. November.
Speaking of next year, we're going to move on to the fun topics.
Yay.
And the fun news topics that we can all enjoy and get excited about. Ready?
Oh my God. News Royale.
Bum, 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 bum. News Royale. We have a few different topics to cover today in this episode.
We do.
Number 1, I am so excited for, and it means a lot to a lot of us, but
it does.
I want to say it means more to me, but I know it doesn't. It means a lot to everybody. I literally cried watching this trailer for the new Star Wars episode, the finale of the series.
It's
Rise of the Skywalker.
Episode 9. We're finally coming to the end of an era, which means that everything comes after this doesn't matter. No, I'm just kidding. It does matter. It does matter. Everything matters in the Star Wars universe. But this in particular is just the end of everything for what has been 30 years, 40?
Oh my
no,
God.
even more than that.
I literally cried watching the trailer for the first time.
Same. Yeah.
We just watched the trailer again right before doing this podcast. I cried again. I cried again. I was like, Ian, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry.
I know. Yeah.
I'm gonna cry.
I teared a little. It's the montage that happens at the beginning is so beautiful because it sends you down a memory lane that you just do not want to leave. You're like, I remember where I was when I first saw where were you when you first saw your first Star Wars movie?
I was at home watching it on VHS, the original Star Wars, with my family on VHS. Really crappy quality, amazing though. And I just kept
it was so good.
It was so good, and I was so excited about it. It was such a fun story, and it's always been something that my family has shared. A lot of times, in recent years, Star Wars always comes out on Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always like a
weird
tradition. Like my family on Christmas, they go to see a movie. It's always a movie on Christmas Day. A lot of people do that,
Yeah.
And we whenever there's a Star Wars movie, we're all like hyped. It's always like no question about it what movie we're gonna go see. It's Star Wars. It's Christmas. It's Star Wars. It's coming out on Christmas this year. So excited! I can't wait. I'm gonna wear my freaking Darth Vader onesie with my parents at the theater, and if I with my family, and if I get to see it early, because I often get to see movies early a little bit, and if I do that, I'm gonna wear my my sexy Lady Vader costume cosplay.
Yeah.
Not a family costume, that's for sure.
Not a family costume, no.
I wouldn't I would just feel awkward. It's not really like lewd or anything, but
no.
But I'm going to go all out. You said you were going to bring your lightsaber, right?
I want to go to Galaxy's Edge just opened up in both California and in Orlando.
I haven't been yet either.
Part of Disney World and Disneyland. I want to go really, really badly. There's a lightsaber experience that you can do that you could build your own lightsaber. That's like the full Force FX ones that you could like fight with and stuff like that. But you get to build it yourself. And I want to bring that to the premiere.
Yeah.
I want lightsabers in the crowd. I want to be yelling the entire time.
I'm going to be crying so hard in the theater. Oh my God. I know my whole family's going to be crying. It's going to be so good. Anyways, if you guys, we've hardly even talked about the trailer itself other than the montage. There are so many cool things going on in this trailer. There's like, if you haven't seen it yet, pause the podcast if you're, listening later, watching later. Go watch it and come back.
Go watch it.
Yeah. Give you a second.
Feel with us.
Okay. And we're back. And okay, so there's like a really cool part where C-3PO has like red eyes. And you're like, is he going to go evil at some point?
He better be a Sith Lord. That's what I'm waiting for.
Oh, man. Yeah, right, and then there's...
Like, it's going to be Jar Jar Binks and C-3PO.
Oh, my God.
So bad.
Oh, everyone would hate it. I would love it. I would love it. I would love it so much. Yeah. No, and then there's also a part with... oh, my God. No, there's an amazing fight scene with Kylo Ren and Rey fighting... Yeah. There's so many things to talk about, but we don't want to drag on too much. But the one part that I really want to talk about is if you're watching the podcast, you can see it right here. It's the clip at the very end of the trailer. Rey all of a sudden pops out of nowhere in this dark hooded cape, and then she's got her like double freaking
lightsaber
red
thing, like Swiss Army knife flippy deal thing. What is
there
that?
Was a meme of her like with a Swiss Army knife lightsaber, which was pretty great. But no, it's like a double lightsaber, and then she like opens it up into like two, and it kind of reminds you of what's his name, Darth Maul's saber a little bit, and it looks like she's dark side or Sith or something. There's so many different theories going on about it that are just absolutely insane. Like in previous, I don't remember what episode it is, but she's like, is it the last one where she has like that vision, and there's like multiple versions of her? And she's like
in this mirror world or whatever. Yeah, that's in the last episode.
So some people have the theory that she's a clone, and that she meets one of the evil clones, basically, or something. I don't know. I don't really want to like
a vision or something like that. Like Palpatine's in her head. It's so many different like ideas.
I don't think that they were gonna. I really don't think. I don't want to theorize too much, but I don't think they're gonna make her all of a sudden go dark side. Like,
But I kind of want it though.
I kind of want it. I do.
I want it.
Anakin's transition into Darth Vader is like one of my favorite, parts of this whole story of all time. I know it's not everybody's favorite, but it's one of mine personally.
Sith for life.
Yeah.
I love it.
I know the Empire did nothing wrong.
We didn't. Dirty rebels.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Skipping over, we have some other fun news here about gay penguins.
Gay penguins.
I have no segue from Star Wars to gay penguins. I'm sorry.
We're just gonna say gay penguins. It's the easiest way to say it. There was a couple of penguins.
Gay penguin couple have been given an egg after failing to hatch stones at the Berlin Zoo.
It's so cute.
Yeah. First of all, I just have to put this little side note in there. Fuck zoos. Pardon my French, but I
don't like zoos either.
I don't think animals should be kept in captivity. But anyways, besides that, it's actually a really, really sweet story. There's, these 10-year-old penguins, gay penguin couple who have been trying to like hatch stones or fish even. And obviously,
It's
you know,
so cute.
yeah, it's actually really sweet to see them being like nurturing and stuff. And so at the zoo in Berlin, there was an abandoned egg. And so they've given this egg to the penguins, the gay penguin couple.
Yeah, one of the zookeepers had said, and I quote, "We're sure that they would be good parents because they were so nice to their stone."
Oh,
Oh, God.
that's actually so sweet.
No, I want. Oh, it's so cute.
Yeah. And so I guess currently they're looking after the egg and they're doing really well with it. And if the egg continues to go well and everything and the egg proves to be fertile, then they should be parents by early this month, September. So we might hear more soon about the first
Quick little update. Episode
gay
4.
penguin adoptive parents, which will be really fun. That'll be, you know, I don't know, just a sweet little story of little baby
It
animals.
warmed my heart. It warmed my heart.
It just, I mean, I just think what can I say other than it's a very sweet situation to see in nature, you know, and people accepting it also, which is like a nice way to prove like, hey, anybody who thinks that gay penguins can't be good parents, gay people can't be good parents, look at these penguins being awesome.
Yeah, they're doing great. Right? Yeah.
It happens in nature. Why can't it happen with humans? Cut your BS, you know, intolerance, basically. I think seeing the gay penguins, you know, do so well, and especially with like the egg and everything that they're doing right now, I think it's just like a great story for humanity, even though it's about penguins. That's why I like this story so much.
It's a human quality. It's a human, anthropomorphism on penguins. Yeah. That's cute. So there you go.
It's cute.
It is cute.
Yeah. All right. Now we're going to go back into space. Back to space.
That was the best.
We should have found a third space story, but that one was just too cute to pass up.
It was, yeah.
We should have made this a space episode.
You
know what? Those penguins are far out, man. In space.
They're so spacey. Yeah. There you go. Space penguins. Gay space penguins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
our next story has to do with space, though. Ian, do you want to?
So there was an article. Yeah, it was an article that recently came out about research being done on the planet Venus, and they had observed dark patches within the clouds, within the upper atmosphere on Venus that were what were they doing? They were taking in UV light or absorbing UV light.
Yeah, they were changing the weather patterns or something on Venus.
Yeah.
Because of they don't know yet, but it could be a possibility that it is microorganisms. And this isn't a new idea. This idea was published in a paper back in 1963, which was co-authored by one of my favorites, Carl Sagan.
Carl Sagan. I loved Contact. It was a good book.
So it had to do with the atmosphere's winds coming from the sun, and it was changing in an unexpected ways because these dark patches are absorbing UV light, which is crazy. It could mean good and bad things. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
So there's a theory called the Great Filter, which is it's basically about why haven't we found any other life in the universe or, you know, in the galaxy? Why is there no evidence? The Great Silence, you know, there's no other evidence of life really yet. And it's kind of scary to think of these possible reasons why, one of them being the Great Filter, which is life is so rare and all the conditions need to be met for many of these different levels of life. So first you have basic life where these
microorganisms. Yeah.
No, not even then, but like chemicals.
Before then.
Yeah. That's a crazy situation. The probability of that happening is insane, which is why we don't see it a lot of other places, but like non-living matter and chemicals combining to become living organisms. And then you have, you know, multicellular organisms. And then you have evolution and more complex organisms. And then you have consciousness and intelligent life and all that stuff. And one of the questions is, where possibly in this spectrum are these other, you know, planets and universes and galaxies and stuff, where are they getting caught? Are they in the very beginning?
Difficulty.
Where's the filter? Are we ahead of the filter or are we behind it? If maybe one day we find the ruins of an ancient alien civilization, that's bad for us because it means there's an expiration date for humanity as we know it. So once we spread out all over the earth, maybe we seek to go to other planets and stuff like that, eventually we will die, just like other alien life forms that we find that are dead. Yeah, ruins. But if we only find, the beginning stages, it could mean multiple things. Like maybe they never really developed past the multicellular level. Maybe they never developed intelligent life. And so maybe we're the furthest ahead in this little, what do you call it?
This possibility of life within a vast, ever expansive universe, that sort of thing. Because it's like if we're capable of this level of life, should we believe that other planets are capable of that same exact level? And that idea of the great filter kind of keeps us from either saying, did we get past it? Are we not there yet? And it's really just a question of when is the ultimate demise of anything that has a possibility of life on any single planet in the entirety of the universe. And so, like, what I thought was interesting about this article was just Venus itself is just, by all Earth standards, shouldn't have life at all, because, like, I was doing a little research. The hottest temperature that you could have a living organism live here on the planet it's underwater. It's in like steam vents and such. The highest temperature that you could have is about 130 degrees Celsius. So on this, just the atmospheric temperature that you have on Venus
is insane.
Is 420 degrees Celsius. That's well over 3 times as much temperature as it is on Earth for any living thing. So what that means for like our study of what Venus is doing, possibly even just like also Mars, to like, change planets here, about what could be in the polar ice caps in Mars, whether or not these, what we gave Goldilocks principles, like the perfect situation for life to
based on our own,
is based on our own terrestrial understanding. So things could go beyond our terrestrial understanding. So it could be more extraterrestrial, that things could have their different compositions and stuff like that. That's what intrigued me the most out of all of this.
I'm so excited to just hear more about this, for more findings, for more exploration. Man, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be an astronaut, and then I realized how hard that would be. And then I was like, maybe I'll do something else. But
I want to meet an alien, even if it's just like a little amoeba guy.
Area 51 raid, it's coming up September 20th.
What is it, the 20th? We have 17 days.
Yeah, we got 2 weeks.
Of this episode. We have, 17 days, a little over 2
see.
weeks. I'm not going.
I'm not going either.
All we need is Keanu Reeves to go, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Anyway, there's so much to talk about here. We're going to definitely touch more on this topic later when there's more information out there about it. I feel like we could have a whole podcast talking about space and stuff.
Space is awesome.
Space
I love
and
space.
stuff. We're all made of star stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Carl Sagan, one of my favorites. Isn't that like a quote from him?
Yeah, it was also in
something like that.
Like a John Green book or something also. I don't know. Let's not talk about teen fiction.
Anyway, cool space stuff. What was your favorite story of News Royale today?
Space stuff. The Venus one was actually my favorite. I
want to say that it is mine too, but since you already picked it, I'll go ahead and say the other space story, which is Star Wars.
Sorry, gay penguins. We love
you. We love you.
But Star Wars and Venus, like, it's just, I don't know. Like, you guys are adorable, but yeah, I liked Venus. So
yeah,
there you go.
Anyway, guys, on to the next portion of the podcast here. We have a section called Follower Mode, where we like to shout out current creators, artists, and all kinds of, maybe projects or games and stuff. This episode, we actually have different creators and artists that we'd like to talk about.
We do.
Yeah. A couple YouTubers. We got a TikToker and a tattoo artist that we'd like to shout out. So first off, Ian, I know you want to talk about this guy. You've been
oh my god,
fanboying
so
over him for a while.
I remember showing Nat this video, but basically it's this guy named Michael Reeves. You can check him out at youtube.com com/Michael Reeves. He created a Roomba that screams when it hits walls. He is a programmer by day and a YouTuber by whenever he can get to it, because he doesn't really care. It is NSFW, at least in terms of the language, so just keep that in mind. He is very expressive, but it's a brilliant, if you guys have the chance to check him out, go to youtube.com/Michael Reeves.
His inventions and things, often he takes suggestions from his viewers and stuff, but some of them are just so wild and ridiculous. There was a microwave that's powered by your screams too, right?
He made a car that runs on your thoughts. He made a gas powered fishing pole. He has made a gun that is that shoots you when you play Fortnite. It's an airsoft gun, but still, it's like he made a gun that shoots him every time he took damage in Fortnite. It was brilliant, hilarious. Definitely need to watch this guy. This guy is so funny. He does have a really weird upload schedule, so don't expect something every week, maybe every month.
Just subscribe and just be surprised with a nice little treat every now and again. It's kind of like me with streaming.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'll be better. I'll be better about that. Anyway, another YouTuber that I would love to shout out is youtube.com/hotbananastud, otherwise known as, I know it's such a silly handle on YouTube, but otherwise known as Brandon Rogers. You guys may have heard of him, may not have. I'm not really sure, but he does all these amazing characters. Pretty much everything he does goes viral. He's just absolutely hilarious. Super NSFW though. Like, super not appropriate. Very offensive. Very offensive. But nobody is safe. He makes fun of everyone and everything. These characters are like wild, exaggerated. Like he's got, a working single mom character, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's just so good. And
I subbed to him. He's got some really funny content. I really love too.
A lot of his videos, the characters all meet each other and stuff too. And they're just ridiculous. The reason why I really wanted to shout him out is because he has a new character he just introduced, which is a clown. And I made everybody I know watch this video because it's an instant classic. It is so funny. And he's like a clown that lives with other roommates and they're puppets. And it's like the video is like a behind the scenes documentary of this kids show that, he's the clown host of. And it's funny. Like he says he locks kids in a room and forgot about them for years. Like the roommate puppets are like jacking off and stuff. Like it's ridiculous. Wild. And then, it's really well done. The comedy it's golden. Like, also, Brandon Rogers just seems like a really cool person, like nice guy, like down to earth, funny as hell. I met him briefly at TwitchCon, like at one of the just like super briefly at one of the parties at VidCon, and I was like wearing my bright fluffy pink fake fur jacket, me being my colorful self, and I saw him. It's like the party's shutting down, everybody's leaving, everybody's a little tipsy, right? And I saw him from across the room and I was like, oh my God, Brandon, I love you. Like drunkenly. And he looks at me, takes one look at my colorful, self. And he's like, I love you too. Like, and I was like, I would have expected nothing less from him. Yeah. Like totally his whole vibe. He's great. Check him out. youtube.com/hotbananastud. You're going to go down a rabbit hole and you're not going to regret it.
You're going to leave. Yeah, you're not going to leave. It's good.
Yeah. No, up next we have a TikTok creator that Ian likes.
I have been severely addicted to the app since episode 1, a little bit before that. And probably in a lot of these follower modes, I might shout out one or two. Zachary Levi Phillips, also known as @hot.peppers, is as far as I know, an aspiring actor. I don't know what he's acted in, if he has done anything. But definitely employ this guy. He's very, very good. TikTok is built on the Musical.ly like kind of standard, and also the idea that what Vine was built on as well too, short videos and with an emphasis on sort of lip syncing, because that's what Musical.ly was. And so of all the people that I've like swiped through the For You page on TikTok, this guy is extremely talented at hitting all of the flaps, all of the inflections, the facial inflections, the acting that goes along with all of the lip syncing that you can do on TikTok. It's so impressive what he's capable of and his range. He's very much a big fan of like Jim Carrey. He does like classic stand-ups as well too. But a lot of his content is lip syncing. Very, very talented lip syncing. It's very, very good.
You know what?
Very, very.
I actually did not like Musically because of the lip syncing. I'm like, thanks, I hate it. Like I actually hate it. But I actually have done a lot of lip syncing myself, which makes no sense. It's like, oh, it's cool when I do it. But no, I actually never thought it was cool when I did it. I thought it was dumb as hell, and that's why I did it. But I've only seen a handful of people on TikTok that I'm like, okay, this is kind of good, but I haven't actually seen his yet. So I'm going to have to check him out after this.
He's very, very good at it. Like I'm very impressed with him. So that's why I like shouting out the ones that really stand out. And so at hot.peppers, also known as Zachary Levi Phillips, very talented guy. Check him out on TikTok. He's an awesome dude.
Sweet. And the last person that I want to shout out for follower mode, look at this. If you're listening, there's a scuffed picture of me. I was very tired. No, but it's of me and one of my tattoo artists, little Dave Parker. He works at True Tattoo in Hollywood. He's a very well-known tattoo artist, amazing artist, does wonders. I've been getting tattoos for a long time, and I think one of the pro tips that people need to know is that you probably shouldn't come in there with like a picture of exactly what you want, because you are like missing out on the opportunity for an artist to create something unique and original and beautiful. And so anytime I want a tattoo, I go to, lately in the last few years, I go to little Dave and I'm like, here's my idea. Here's a couple thoughts of things that you could use. And I'm like, go nuts. I trust you. And then he takes the idea and he turns it into a beautiful piece of art. I have 3 pieces by him. He just did my forearm. So now I finally have both my forearms done. And he did, which is kind of crazy, he did a American traditional style tattoo, but he did it vaporwave themed. And that sounds kind of crazy in itself, but it's a statue of David plus some beautiful clouds and like pixie dust, pink and blue, some palm trees, a gorgeous like sunset, and a little diamond in there, because that's like my signature in all my tattoos. There's a diamond. But he just like whipped that up for me, and I was like, this is perfect. This is what I wanted. The only thing I told him was like something kind of vaporwave themed, statue of David, go nuts, go for it. I don't want a dick. I was like, I don't want a dick on my arm though, so cover it somehow. But he does like all these other amazing tattoos. He does mostly American traditional style, but a lot of people get these, what do you call them? Famous quotes or like famous lines from songs. And what he'll do is he'll do like a portrait of the singer, and then he'll do where their face is instead of doing the face. Like he only does mainly like really recognizable singers or musicians, right? And then where their face is supposed to be, because you can recognize them by the rest of their body or their, their hair or whatever. Where the face is supposed to be, he'll put the quote of the song.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's like really interesting and really dope, especially if you're like a huge music fan. That's like one of his like trends that's been going kind of nuts on his page. He's like drawing a bunch of them. People are getting them left and right. But he also just like whatever kind of work you want. He's just really, really great. I cannot stress enough how amazing of an artist he is and how easy he is to work with. Great conversation. Really like knows his stuff too, and he does a really great job. So little Dave Parker on Instagram, you can follow him right there. And go check out his work. He's great. He travels the country too, and he like goes to other countries and does tattoos elsewhere. But he works at True Tattoo mainly in Hollywood. So, yeah. Okay.
Little Dave Parker. I might go see him.
Yeah, he's pretty great.
I need to get some tattoos.
Yeah. Oh man, here's everybody's favorite part of the podcast, I believe.
Oh boy.
Dating Diaries. Oh boy.
Oh man.
This is mainly the part where I get to talk trash about dating and my anecdotes, and then Ian just kind of agrees, and then we talk about
I don't really date. Yeah. I don't go out and date.
I date quite a bit, but spice of life, okay?
Yeah.
Wait, that's variety.
I just have like
Never
relationship anecdotes or like, associate like associated anecdotes that I could just relate to you about, but I don't have any dating anecdotes because I don't really date. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's not really what our topic is today, is
No,
it?
it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
One of the things, this kind of got brought up by somebody else, like a listener or viewer. They were asking us, is it possible for adults to have close platonic friendships without the awkward romantic feeling on one side? And I think that question can be answered based on one thing and one thing only: emotional maturity.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're younger, it may seem impossible to be friends with somebody that you might be attracted to physically or maybe, emotionally once you get to know them or something like that. But that's not always mutual. And some people think, oh, well, I'm, friend zoned, or I won't be friends with them because it's awkward. But it's totally possible. I just think that you have to develop your emotional being to the point where you can understand, like, hey, not everybody is meant to date. Not everybody, just because they're attractive to you, you like their personality, you get along really well, it doesn't mean that you're meant to date. And it doesn't mean it's awkward. It actually means that you can be really good friends,
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times people, even adults, the older you get, I think it's more obvious. Like, of course you can be friends with the opposite gender or the gender, whatever, some gender that you would be attracted to normally in a romantic sense. Like, of course. But even people like my age or older still don't believe that you can. But I think that's really based on their level of emotional maturity. It has nothing to do with like reality. That's their reality,
I mean, me personally, for that question, it's like, can adults have platonic friendships without that awkward romantic feeling? I just flat out say yes, because I've been friends with, I tend to date heterosexual. So it's like, even though I identify as pan, I've been friends with a lot of women in my life where there wasn't that awkward romantic feeling there. And I'm not saying that I have an emotional maturity, because there have been times where I'm like, I look at my friend and I go, hey, like, this could be something.
I'm rolling my eyes so hard right now.
I know, I could see it. But it's not something that, is always the feeling that tends to happen. It's somebody that you jive with, someone that you have great, friendship with, and there's no reason to take it that step further, because I see a relationship as more of like an emotional union between two people that they both agree upon. And if it's going to be one-sided, then it's something that needs to be reflected upon. So anytime that I've ever caught feelings and I'm like, oh, I think I feel for somebody that I've considered a friend for a very long time, I tend to just go, look, she doesn't see me like that. I have to just go ahead and put this aside and such. I've had two best friends that I've had that situation occur with, and I've had to put it aside because it's something where I've valued the friendship more than I did the potentiality for a relationship. I would rather have them be my friend than have them be a romantic interest, because
I've had it happen to me. Yeah.
Once
as well.
Yeah. So.
And we had to stop being friends for a few years, and then we ended up being really good friends again afterwards. Mm-hmm. And that was because we were really young. We were like 16 at the time when we started being friends. And then we like stopped being friends and we became friends again, like early 20s, I want to say. And that's like emotion for me. It was emotional maturity. Like we both kind of grew up a little bit and realized like we could still be friends, and we just needed some time to let it cool off and like whatever. But I think that also in this situation, when you're dating somebody new, a lot of people might ask, is it possible to be friends with a person of the opposite gender or the gender that they're attracted to without, it being romantic? Like, is that possible? And when you're in a new relationship, you can often worry. Like, let's say I'm dating a guy and I notice he has a lot of friends that are girls. At my age now, in my situation and my experience, I'm like, that's cool. That's fine. It really all depends on what their emotional maturity is. So if I notice that they are somebody who flirts with everybody and they're like super kind of, all over everyone, I might be
not
inclined to date them anyways, because I'm more of like I'm a monogamy type of person. I definitely dated somebody who was like super flirty with everybody. But the emotional maturity there was like, hey, I don't like this. I want boundaries. I want you to respect that we're in a relationship and you're not going to be, flirting with somebody else. I don't mind you being friends with, other people, but I just don't want you to, you can be nice and compliment somebody without flirting with them. And that was like our boundaries. And I think that there's a way to like friendly flirt with somebody too that is not romantic either, but it's like a fine line. It's all about communication. Again, for the 100th time that I've said it, emotional maturity, and understanding. And, otherwise you can get a little jealous, especially if you're still immature and you haven't developed, these communication skills to talk about your feelings. I think that jealousy can be okay in smaller amounts. I think that it can be healthy even. As long as you know how to communicate it. Talk about your goddamn feelings, people. Be honest. Be open.
Communication has been the bane of literally every single one of my relationships.
I feel like everybody's relationship.
Yeah. No, it's let's not just make it personal. Universally, communication is the problem.
It's always the problem. Yeah.
The number one reason for divorce is marriage. So it's there's no communication. There's no one's talking. And if you do that, it's just going to create a virulent, toxic environment that you just need to get yourself out of. And it hopefully will teach you as an individual within this universal scope of communication is important to communicate in the next relationship that you get yourself into. Talk about your feelings, talk about the situation, how things make you feel. So that way you don't run into any sort of resentment, problems.
I wouldn't want my partner to think that they couldn't be friends with other women or something like that at all in any way. I just wouldn't also want a partner that was comfortable going around behind my back and flirting with other people, because that feels disingenuous to me, know? And I don't think there's anything wrong with being, like a guy being friends with a lot of girls, or a guy, let's say gay guy being friends with a lot of gay guys. Like it doesn't matter what your, orientation is. If your friends are mainly people who you would normally be attracted to, I don't think there's any issue with that at all. I think that it's all about boundaries and communication. And so, not everybody has that yet, especially I feel like the person who asked this originally of us was probably on the younger side. And so it's definitely something that develops over time. And the more that you try to just be, understand that and take it easy, and communicate your best. Then it'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be just fine.
Be honest.
Yeah. Be honest.
It's important.
Man. Dump the last guy I was dating because he wasn't being very honest. Oh!
And I'm gonna take a sip because that was a motherfucking tea.
Oh my god!
That was actually tea. So there you go.
I didn't even mean to say that. That was not on the docket. Okay, you guys. It just came out. It was real feels. Ooh.
Next segment.
Anyway, next segment. Yeah, true. Oh man, I didn't even look how. Okay, so that was Dating Diaries. You guys can always suggest topics for us for Dating Diaries as well through our social media. Don't forget, you can always hit us up at 0, the number, and then notifications, the word, obviously, because there's no number notifications, right? Anyway, 0 notifications on pretty much everything. Hit us up. Let us know what you want us to talk about next Dating Diaries segment. I actually,
let us also know about what's your favorite news Royale story that we had in this episode.
Yeah. There's one more anecdote that I want to talk about for Dating Diaries, because I do, spoiler alert, everybody, I do have a date after this podcast. I'm excited about. This was actually kind of crazy, though. This is like a little anecdote. It's a fun story time, okay?
Yeah.
So I, use dating apps, right? I use dating apps, and like everybody in this day and age, except for Ian, apparently, who is scared of them.
Yeah.
Ian, you should just try it. You don't even have to meet up with anybody. You can just like talk to people, get a feel for it. Like you don't even have to be like on. Bumble has a section for best friends. It's called Bumble BFF.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
You could try that out. Honestly, if you're scared of like the dating aspect of it, you could just try the Bumble BFF. They also have Bumble Business. This is not sponsored by Bumble, but Bumble should sponsor us.
Hi. I'll try Bumble.
Anyway,
I'll try Bumble.
I was using an app called Hinge, which I just started using. And I was dating the first person I matched with. Well, I matched with multiple people, but the first person I actually met off the app I was dating for a little bit. Didn't work out. But the next person I matched with, we're meeting tonight. But the crazy thing is, we didn't really talk too much. And then the other day in Hollywood, I was like out running errands. Actually, the day I got my tattoo. And I see this, like, I'm at like on a little scooter. In LA, we got scooters everywhere, right? And I love scooting around. I like being a scooter girl.
Scooting the boot.
Yeah. She was a scooter girl. She said, see you later, girl. I don't know. I'm gonna stop. Anyway.
Don't do that.
Anyway. I was like scooting my little butt along. I look cute, right? I'm like a little punky looking girl just running errands. And at this light, I cross the street, there's this like hot motorcycle dude. He just looked hot. Okay. I couldn't really see his face too well, but he looked hot. His eyes looked hot, right? And his like whole get up and everything. He ends up like waving at me and like kind of trying to get my attention and stuff. And then I finally see him and I look over and then he's like trying to point at me and he's like kind of pointing down, like kind of mimicking a phone or something like that. And I was like, he's trying to get my number. He's trying to holler at me. And I was like, I didn't even look at him. I was just like, oh, that guy's attractive, passing by. And then he's like, hollering at me or whatever. And I'm like, okay, hot motorcycle guy's trying to holler at me. All right. I was like, but you know what? I'm not really, into doing, I was like, I'm not really in the mood for that. So I just kind of like, I smiled at him. I waved. And then I like got on my scooter and I kept going, right? I kept going along my little way. And then he sees me and I'm kind of like waving by. And then he's like, okay. And he like kind of waves me off. He's like, you'll see. Kind of like, I get a text or I get a message. I shit you not, for lack of better words. 5 minutes later on the dating app, and is the guy I matched with. And he's like, are you stalking me? And I was like, what? Don't tell me I just ran into you. And he was like, yeah, that's me. That was me on the motorcycle, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then we just have this conversation like, holy crap, I cannot believe in Los Angeles, of all places, there's so many people who live here, first of all. Second of all, there's so many single people who live here that are constantly using dating apps.
Yeah.
And in Hollywood, that's a huge, busy part of town. There's like tons of people around and everything. It was just like super small world, slim chance that would ever happen. And it did. So that was just like an interesting little tidbit. I thought that was fun. I was just kind of like, yeah, it was nice to you though. I did brush you off though. And he was like, yeah. like yeah, you did, bro.
Scooter bro and motorcycle dude. Oh my God.
I'm the scooter bro.
That's what I said. Scooter bro and motorcycle dude.
I'm a bro now?
No, well, the quote, it's from Grand Theft Auto. Never mind. Anyway.
Scooter bro. Oh, okay.
Scooter bro.
Scooter bro. All right. Okay. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting, fun little. That never happens.
Little town. Little LA.
Little town of LA. Population 3 million. I don't know. I don't know how many people live here.
Just the two of you now.
Oh, damn. Well, I'll update you how the date goes. I don't kiss and tell or anything like that, but maybe I'll tell you more about that motorcycle story. Anyway, we got the last segment of the podcast before we say goodbye. And it is called Infrequently Asked Questions.
Whoa.
Wow, I forgot
Jesus.
Anyway, we've got infrequently asked questions, you guys. So this is where we ask you guys to give us questions, and then we answer them. Obviously, this is how this works. But we don't want to do like questions that we get all the time, like, "Oh, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite video game?" and stuff.
Why are you streaming? Why do you
stream?
I don't want to answer that question anymore.
Okay, so we have a question here from Driscoll Estate on Twitter. And they said, is it the normal routine now to ask girls out online rather than in person?
Yes.
Yes.
Next question. No, I'm just kidding. I say yes. I say to flatly say it. Yes. I think it's just with the way that society is nowadays. I guess it is the normal routine to just like ask people out online now with dating apps more prevalent.
I think that,
yeah, with social media, it's just like it's very circumstantial question, you know, like,
yeah,
obviously
like,
put yourself out there when you're in public, but you know,
read the room though. Definitely read the situation. I was just complaining the other day, and this isn't somebody tried to come at me like, oh, you're so hot, you get hit on all the time. I was like, no, it's more about getting sexually harassed on the street. I was literally wearing baggy t-shirt, frumpy ass hair, and like no makeup, glasses, like incognito to the max, right? And definitely, obviously, do not want to be hit on, you know, not like trying to talk to anybody, keeping to myself. And I got hollered at like left and right, and it was making me very uncomfortable. And it really kind of annoyed me. I was annoyed with people that day because I was just getting sexually harassed left and right. And I do get asked out in person, you know, here and there, but usually it's by people I don't want to be asked out by, you know?
Yeah.
It's usually the people that I feel like the people, like if I saw somebody in public that it was like, oh, I could date that person, like based on how I'm, you know, like our interests. Like if I'm eating at a nice vegan restaurant and I see another single looking vegan guy over there, he looks cool. He's got cool style. He takes care of himself, you know, whatever. And I'm like, oh, that guy's kind of attractive. He looks like he's cool. Like we have similar interests, right?
Avocado
I would
toast.
never ask him out in person. I would never. I mean,
No.
I would have to be drunk, right?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's where all the love happens is in the club. But yeah, I think with online dating though, isn't it like easier to get to know the person before you commit to something like, hey, let's go out and like get to know each other even better in person, like what you're doing today. So
Yeah. Well, lately I don't even try to like get to know people too well on the app. I get to know their basic general interests, whatever. And then I'm like, I don't like pen pals. Let's meet in person. And then we'll talk more. But I just gauge them right away off of the app. But yeah, the apps, like using dating apps is like definitely like there's no guesswork. You know whether they're interested in you or not, whether they swipe on you or not, you know, or they like you back or whatever. There's no guesswork there. There's no fear of complete and total rejection. There's no face-to-face rejection, at least.
Right.
In the beginning stage when you're just meeting somebody. But I guess that makes it more common to ask somebody out online. But if it's like somebody you know in real life, I would say like there's something to be said by having conversations with somebody in real life, getting to know them and getting to the point where you can talk to them and be a little brave and put that foot forward and say, hey, would you want to grab coffee with me sometime? There's that movie's coming out. You want to see it with me? Like blah, 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 blah. Let's go to the pet store. That's a bad date for me. I'll leave with all the puppies.
Yeah, don't go to a pet store.
Let's try out this new awesome vegan restaurant, Natalie. That's easy way to my heart. Yeah, I mean, it depends on your situation for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes.
But good luck to you.
Just yes to answer your question.
Yeah. Yeah. Just yes.
Just yes.
Just yes. Anyway, that's infrequently asked questions. You guys can definitely send us more questions. Please do send us more questions. Come up with some cool stuff. We answered a question about poop. Why is pooping taboo in the last episode? So it doesn't have to be a real serious one. We love all the stuffs.
Because we'll actually take it seriously.
We'll do it. We'll have a conversation about it. But now we're at the end of our episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Ian, where can everybody find you?
I am Ian M. Mori on Instagram as well as Twitter. I'm also known as Oath M. Mori on twitch.tv. I'm going to switch it out to Ian M. Mori after TwitchCon. Just not right now. I'll do it. I promise. I'll do it.
Yay.
Consistency.
Yeah. And you can find me on pretty much everything at The Zombie Unicorn with no E in zombie. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Hey, I got that handle now. They gave it to me. I am actually
There you go.
a 32-year-old lady on TikTok now.
I'm a 34-year-old man on TikTok. Also, Ian and Maury on there as well.
I'm getting that big Vine energy on there. I'm posting a lot about my dogs and goofy stuff, so it's real fun.
I haven't done anything yet, so
yeah. You can. I have my website, thezombieunicorn.com. No Ian Zombie. You can find all my stuff there as well, and our podcast you can find everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at 0 notifications. That's the number 0 and then notifications. Also, if you'd like to help the podcast and help support us on Patreon, that would be amazing. We do have some supporters we'd like to thank: Christine, Kyle,
thank you so much,
and Kaulkarth. Those are our current 3 supporters. We really appreciate you a lot. Supporting us on Patreon gets you access to episodes early, also bonus content, and a big thank you from us every episode.
Yes,
so
definitely.
We really appreciate it. Every little bit helps. And that is... yeah, let's get Ian a new camera and a new mic as well. We both need new mics. Actually, and if you watch the podcast on YouTube or live on Twitch, we need some better graphics because I made these really dumb, awful graphics. And let's be honest, they're kind of trash. Anyways, you can... do patreon.com/zombieunicorn, no Ian Zombie, and there is a podcast here and there for you if you feel like doing that. Yeah. You can also join us on my Discord, discord.gg/thezombieunicorn. And I think that's pretty much it. Anything else you want to say, Ian?
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
To each other.
Be kind to animals too, okay?
And each other.
Especially animals.
Especially the penguins.
Oh.
Oh.
Especially the gay ones. Okay, bye.
They're so cute. Bye, everyone.